My fellow Nigerians, so sad, history has repeated itself in our country. University students we have been, now, they don't see, go waylay them, catch them by bandits in their school. Like, what is their offense? It baffles me when I realize that as a country, no place you can say this is better, that is better, or whatever. Let's be sincere to ourselves. Your crime can be that you take a public transport is your crime. Your crime may be like you said something you were not supposed to even. Okay, a lot of things. Should we go ahead and name them? So the question is, when Tinubu said he's going to tackle them, what is your preparation? So guys, take good look at this video. It's hot.
People do not.
I mean, Ayo, it's shocking and it's a sad one for Nigeria that we are where we don't want to be again. This reminds me of what happened many years ago in Chibok. We are there again. Ayo, this reminds me of what has happened in the past as regards insecurity, even cases that we have forgotten about, like the Buniyadi incident. They are only offenses that they've gone to university to get higher education, and they're kidnapped this way. But it's a reflection of the grand insecurity in the country as we speak today. And let nobody deceive us. We've made some appreciable progress, but we've also taken many, many steps backward. Almost every area you go in the country is unsafe. There's massive insecurity across board. And it looks as though we are not doing enough. I just hope the words of President Tinubu is not just mere rhetoric that says, oh, we will tackle them, we'll fight them, we'll provide safety and security. Yes, that's the role of the leader, the president of a country. He's the commander-in-chief, and the Constitution says the aim of the state will be providing safety and security for its citizens. But Nigeria has fallen short so many times as regards that. I just want to empathize with those families this morning, and I'd like to call on the security authorities to bring them back. And not only them, what about the NYSC students? I mean, NYSC core members that were attacked. What about cases of insecurity and kidnapping everywhere for ransom? Who thinks about those ones? What do we have in place to be able to tackle situations like this? Now we don't know that our schools are not safe. They're a flashpoint for insecurity. Many years ago, they instituted a safe school program that was to guide secondary schools. But now maybe we should start thinking of universities. Because it's obvious we've not learned anything. You remember what happened in the university in Kaduna? We didn't learn anything. And we keep going round and round in circles. Now we're here again. We'll see how this case plays out, but we'll call on our security forces to do more. They've been doing some admirable work thus far. We commend them for what they have done, but they need to do more once and for all. And we need to stop this in our country.
Absolutely. Now, the Aurora Consultative Forum has called this a threat to girl-child education in northern Nigeria. And you cannot but agree with them in terms of their disposition and their thoughts around this. Girls and a threat and an attack on girl education has been going on in northern Nigeria since and even perhaps before the kidnapping of the Chibok girls, whom, by the way, have not all been rescued. And we see this pattern play out again and again, especially in these parts. Rufai, you talked about the Safe School Initiative. 144 billion naira was budgeted earlier this year, and they said they were going to target 18 states in the country which were hotspot areas and which were prone to these kinds of kidnapping. This Safe School Initiative was geared towards secondary schools. In this particular incident, it was said that the Federal University in Gusau did not have a fence around this, even though the attack happened off campus, in accommodation off campus. But the reports say that the kidnappers actually went into the university, and there wasn't a lot of challenge in gaining entry into the university because it didn't have fences. What we then see happen is that rather than us have intelligence to prevent such incidents from happening, we are in many instances reactionary. So we'll begin to now say, oh, perhaps we need to build a fence in all universities in Nigeria. Perhaps, oh, we need to, they've said, show up security so that we don't have a repeat of this incident. Zamfara is a hotspot. Borno is a hotspot. We identify these places. What we now hear is that fathers and mothers are telling their girls not to go to school. They're telling their children not to go to school. And so it seems as if the terrorists, the kidnappers, the villains are winning this war against education in northern Nigeria. Don't forget, we keep on talking about the fact that Nigeria currently has the largest number of out-of-school children, and the north makes up a large number of this. This exacerbates the issues. It would show up the numbers. And so it's quite important to hear the president say that we're going to take urgent action and has ordered that these girls are rescued. We need them rescued, and beyond the rescuing of these girls, we need an assurance to parents and to students that when they go to school, they will be protected, they will have access to education, and they will not be deprived, in this regard. Very, very important. If not, we're going to see things get worse. The schools will be empty in northern Nigeria, and if they win the war in northern Nigeria, they're going to spread to other parts of Nigeria as well if we're not careful. So we need to nip this in the bud. And so I'm going to say again that excellent point, but beyond just orders, we have to have a permanent solution to this incessant attacks in the north, especially against our schools, against our girls, and against girls in education. Dr. Bati?
Yes,
good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Sorry,
to see you.
It's so difficult sometimes to move around Lagos, most unpredictable. But look, this is very disheartening. 24 students of the Federal University Gusau, were abducted, and only 6 have been rescued so far through the combined efforts of the state government and the federal government. But what is curious here is that this is not new. We've been dealing with this, for more than a decade now. And particularly in cases of abduction, particularly in the northeastern part of the country, girls are always the ones that are targeted. So what is this special interest in girls who are, taken away by the kidnappers, by the terrorists, and are put in the family way and are subjected to all kinds of humiliation? And even when these girls escape, they come back with harrowing stories of, humiliation, forced into marriages, child marriage, in this particular case. That's one particular, area of concern, which has to do with the rights of the girl child within the Nigerian community. We've been talking about rights of the girl child forever, but this is the most extreme, form of violation of the rights of the girl child. Now, the second part of it is the increasing boldness of these terrorists, who attack schools. In this particular case, we were told that the bandits, in fact, divided themselves into 2 groups. One group made away with the girls who had been abducted. Another group faced the state agents, security agents that had come to rescue the girls. Look at that level of impunity. Look at that level of, boldness, which in itself underlines the sheer ineffectuality of the Nigerian state to deal with this perennial problem. The third issue, of course, has to be what you refer to, the Safe Schools Initiative. That Safe School Initiative, was initiated years back, I think as far back as 2013, 2014. And at that time, you had Gordon Brown, who had just left as Prime Minister of Great Britain. Shortly after that, he went into this idea of Safe Schools Initiative, in collaboration with then Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. And I recall that the chairman of Arise Television, Duka Obagbena, was also part of that process. And as far back as that time, we've been talking about this Safe Schools Initiative. Now, about 10 years later, we're still at the same point. And we have had many episodes of schools that are not protected. Even the schools that seem to be protected, these bandits have the temerity to invade those schools and attack girls' hostels and abduct the girls. Now, the consequence of it, of course, is that Many parents don't want to send their children to school. Many children have said they don't want to go to school because their future is uncertain. In a country where education is, the best thing that you can invest on. Somebody was telling us yesterday on another program that, look, the best ROI that you can get is by investing in education because of the linkage between education and human capital development. I mean, the part of the country where, education is at a disadvantage, then